Hello, my name is William Joseph Cobble. I am the author of the ongoing Contending with Paul book series, and I'm here to answer the question, what happened to book 4? Book 4 in the series was called The Book of Acts and the Calling of the Seven Deacons. This is a copy of a preview hardcover, hence the watermark. It is the book with the pillars. Good news is if you have one of these, one day it could be a collector's item because that book is no longer in print. If you go to Amazon.com or any of the Amazons, actually, it'll show out of print. And sometimes there will be an option to buy a used copy. I can't even log in to do anything with that book. I have been locked out. Here's the quick life of that book. It was the most successful pre-order I had ever done. I put it on pre-order for 40 days. Incredible response. Of course, this is the fourth book in a series, which brings some attention to it. It released in December of 2025. It was a great release, and I can tell you more about some of my strategies for opening day at another time. It did great, hit a couple number ones right off the bat. What was really amazing is that when we got to January, print versions of the book were selling better than the ebook. Now, in all my other books, it was the ebook readers that carried them. But now, over 51% of my sales in both January and then again in February were print books. This is hardcover and paperback. I never had that happen before. So a new type of reader, maybe that represents an older reader, maybe that represents someone who thinks this book's worth keeping and wants to have it on a shelf. But a new type of sales was happening. Also, the organic sales were great. And by organic, I mean without running ads or running some sort of promotion on a website, just having it there on Amazon was attracting people. And never before have I had so many people come in and buy all 4 books. Like people wanted the entire set. Things were going very well. Now, let me tell you what I think happened. So, if you go to a lot of YouTube videos and say, how do I launch a book once I get a few weeks in? They'll say, here's a strategy. And you'll see this repeated, maybe not anymore, but last year, in December at least, you will get advice to take your new book and put it on Kindle Unlimited. Kindle Unlimited is a 90-day program. You sort of give your book over to it. And people who have paid the subscription for Kindle Select, that's what it's called on the consumer end, then gets to download your book for free for 90 days. This assists the new author in a couple ways. The downloads do give you a little bit of lift in your ranking. Get your book out there. Hopefully it'll generate a few reviews. But one benefit they give you if you put your book over to this, now the cost to the author is if you put your book in Kindle Select, you can't put it in any other sort of ebook program. It is exclusively an ebook version to Kindle. 90-day commitment. One of the benefits they give you is that during that 90 days, you can make the book completely free for 5 days. That's going to be 5 days in a row, 5 separate days. It's your choice as the author. There's no other way to make your book free that I know of. So the kind of conventional wisdom was do this, get your book out there, let people start checking it out. And by the way, it's not a moneymaker. You get less than a penny for like 2.5 pages. One of my books is 168 pages. If somebody reads the entire book on Kindle Select, I get 77 cents. So the main benefit to the author is just getting it, you're promoting it, getting it out there, getting it in people's hands. And in my case, it says book 4 on the cover, so maybe they'll be interested in book 1, 2, and 3 if they like this one. Anyway, the conventional wisdom was when you have these 5 days, promote it on one of these websites that brings authors together to do reviews of each other's books. Then there's several of these sites. The one I used was Book Bounty, and Book Bounty is reputable, and I tested my books over the last couple of years. Book Bounty is the one where the readers are that most like my books. A religious book with kind of an academic edge, an eye to history, a book that isn't denominationally bound, will kind of follow the truth wherever it leads, or at least show you the options. My books have done fine on Book Bounty. Normally on Book Bounty, how it would work is, as an author, I would go in, I'd pay a subscription per month, and then I would go in and just read a lot of other people's books. Now, I'm not just reading these books, I'm buying them. I'm seeing them on the website, I'm going to Amazon, and I am paying my $2.99, $3.99, $4.99, whatever the cost to download this book. I'm reading it, and usually you have 3 days or so to do a review of that book. Because you paid money for that book, the book review then shows as a verified purchase review, which is the highest level, the gold standard in reviews. And Book Bounty is very above board. For instance, if I buy a book, I don't have to do a review of it. I can opt out and say, no, this is not for me. Never mind. I can give it any rating I want. And there are a few books I gave 2 stars to. I don't like doing that. I feel like I'm hurting somebody, but people nowadays are just going to AI and say, print me a bullet point, what looks like a PowerPoint, right? And I'm going to put a cover on it. I'm going to sell it to people as a book. To me, that sounds a little devious. Some of the books I saw were they weren't anything like advertised. I didn't want to fall into somebody's hands. I didn't want my review on them to lead anybody into buying these books. So I did give bad reviews for a couple of books. One of the safeguards the Book Bounty offers is to prevent the quid pro quo, is if I review somebody's book, they can't review mine. It won't even be shown to them as a possibility. So there's no, I give you a 5, you give me a 5. Very, very above board. And they seem to be a credible site that's trying to do what's right. The thing is, Amazon's constantly changing the algorithm and their rules. So the way you put your own book up is after you've reviewed several books. As you review these books, you get a bounty. This is like some points. The points kind of go in a bank. You can take those points and then put a bounty on your own book, put it out there, so someone will come and get your book. They get those points, and that's how it's done. So you earn a bunch of points, and you put your books out with bounties on them, hoping other people will get them. So the way the promotion works is you make your book free. Again, that's how it works. You're allowed to do that on Kindle Select. You promote it on a site like Book Bounty, which I did. And if you've reviewed enough books, then you have all these points, and you can put 50 reviews worth of points on your book, or more. There really was no limit at that time. And of course, the bounty for a free book is very little, because the people aren't having to spend any money to get your book. So I would say, on average, if I sell 25 books, I might get 1 review. And that's fine. Maybe every 20 books I get a review, something like that. It's not that everybody that reads your book will give a review, even though as an author, that's what you want, because that's sort of your social verification on Amazon that what this book is it for you, is it well written, etc. So what you do on Book Bounty, or any of the sites you prefer, is you take your book, you make it free, you put it on there, and then you put all your points on it. And people can just come and download your book free all day. I think the first day I put mine on there, I had enough points that 55 downloads of my book occurred. Well, that's a lot of reviews, isn't it? That used to be a good thing. Now it seems it's a bad thing. As the reviews started coming in on book 4, they were great. And I don't say that with any sort of ego. They really were. In fact, if you go look up my book on Amazon now, at least on Amazon.com, you will see, even though it's unpublished, it still shows that it has, I think, 34 reviews or so on it. And it shows a 4.8. So, and it was as high as 4.9 for a while. I'll tell you what happened. So my book goes out really fast. It was a title, I guess, that people were interested in. People may have seen the other books. I don't know. It goes out really fast, and all these reviews start coming in within 3 or 4 days, and they're great. Like I said, the book was first started off very early as a 5, then it hit 4.9 for a while, then went down to a 4.8. But what I noticed was, as the reviews were coming in on the book. Amazon was slowly removing them. For some reason, they did not like these reviews. One night, I went to bed. I had 34 verified reviews on this book. Where I woke up in the morning, I had 19. I contacted Book Bounty and I said, "Hey, what's going on here?" And I got sort of a AI generated uh, block letter type of response. Well, maybe you're putting too much out there. Maybe only do a bounties for 10 to 15 book reviews. So I adjusted and I did another one because now I wanted to make up for all these reviews that Amazon had just taken off. Now you realize that had cost me money because for me to get the bounties, to earn the points, to put bounties on my books, I had to pay for other people's books and read them. So I had some money invested here. When you see these reviews just disappear, I'm like, that's just literally money down the drain. Now, Book Bounty was cool. When I told them what happened to me, they credited me like 30 more, enough points for like to put my book out 30 more times or something like that. Like they seem sympathetic. I did put it out for 10 or 15 more reviews. I noticed those reviews started disappearing again. Amazon was just slowly deleting them, and I didn't know why. I took Book Bounty for its word that it played within the rules, and this was part of how you promote the book, all the YouTube videos that this is how you promote a book. And again, I was putting this book into the hands of people that I knew like this type of book, would actually read it, and they can do any review they want. Reviews came in very high. Maybe I'm a little better writer by the time I get to book 4. But Amazon wasn't happy for some reason. I didn't know why. So I stopped the free book promotions. And I noticed one day I can't get into my book on Amazon. Normally there's an author site you can go through and sort of take a look at your books. You check rankings and check reviews, things like that. I was locked out of 2 of the 3 books. By the end of the day, I was locked out of the 3rd. And it told me that I should have received an email. When I check the email from Amazon, it tells me that my book was blocked on suspicion of review manipulation. Now, review manipulation is usually something where like I have paid a friend or a neighbor to review my book or compensated them somehow. It could be me reviewing my own books. It could be family members in my household reviewing the book. There's ways in the Amazon policies that they define certain reviews as manipulating your ranking, right? They want these to be just strangers, reviewing the book, which it was. I tried to talk to Book Bounty again, and basically I got kind of block emails back or block text back, and I said, hey, this is an escalation. Like they what do I do? Like I've played within the rules I thought. I'll come on your site. They couldn't really help me except say that, yeah, Amazon may be getting suspicious about too many downloads and too many reviews coming in too quickly. And that's how things have played out. Book Bounty has since released an email to all of their subscribers. And basically, I don't know if you can see this, it says free promotion pause continues. You probably can't see that. But they are no longer allowing you to put your book on their site for free, because I guess there's been enough issues with Amazon. And here's how they define the problem. Now, by the way, this story is not going to end badly. So stay to the end. I'll tell you how this is all somewhat going to resolve. So Book Bounty's email, kind of a newsletter that goes out monthly. We understand how useful KDP free promotion days can be for book launches and gaining reviews. However, Amazon still seems to be very strict about how quickly reviews can grow when using free promotion bounties, and this can appear as unnatural growth to their systems. So again, remember me saying, when you're used to getting 1 review for every 20 or 25 purchases, imagine getting 50 reviews for 52 purchases, and almost all of them are good. It just probably set off alarms. Using the promotional tools available in KDP is absolutely fine, including options like free promotion days. These are part of Amazon's system. That said, Amazon still evaluates how those promotions perform, especially how many downloads happen, how quickly and how fast reviews come in. They compare this activity to similar books running the same promotions to make sure everything appears natural. If something does not appear natural to the Amazon bots, silent flags can happen or worse. So for now, we're going to stay on the side of caution and continue the free promotion pause while we evaluate how to safely proceed with this bounty type. So now you can't even put your book for free on Book Bounty. They said, look, we want to show caution here. This is obviously a problem to the Amazon bots, so let's just not play this way for a while to get more information. So what does a guy like me do? My book is unpublished. That was a lot of work. That was a lot of time. I think, well, let me back up. My next book comes out next month. That'll be May of 2026. My goal, somewhat, not a hard goal, but I think May the 8th, I will have it on pre-order. We'll talk more about that book on a later video. That will now be the new book 4. It was going to be book 5. Now it's going to be book 4 taking the place. Well, I still have the manuscript for the previous book 4. By the way, let me tell you something more. There's some software that you download when you format your book from Word into the ebook Kindle format, and it's called Kindle Create. Not only was that book 4 blocked on Amazon.com and all the other Amazons, it completely disappeared from Kindle Create. So if I was wanting to put that book back into an ebook form and sell it, I would have to start all over with the formatting and everything. They really push back on you when they think that you violated their terms. Anyway, so what was going to be book 5 will now be the new book 4. That will be in pre-order next month and should come out in June. I'm thinking a 30-day pre-order. The previous book 4, I have a little bit of a conundrum here because it's a good book. People liked it. And people, one of the reviews, it may still be one that's on Amazon, a guy said, I should teach at a seminary, and I didn't know this stuff about the Lucan parallels. So I want to get that book back out. It was only out for a few months, and like I said, well received. My thought is I could maybe do something to change the page count, add another chapter, reformat it in a few ways, change the title, maybe change the cover a little bit. But the conundrum is I've got to make it different enough that Amazon doesn't think I'm putting a banned book back up, but similar enough that a buyer doesn't feel tricked into buying a book that they kind of already have. So I'm working on that now. And that's one reason for this video, because I want people to know book 5 will be the previous book 4. Now, instead of calling it the Book of Acts and the Calling of the Seven Deacons, I am considering either Stephen, Philip, and the Making of an Apostle. I like that title, but I don't know if people reading it automatically know that that apostle is Paul. And there is some question whether Paul is really seen as an apostle in the Book of Acts. Some of that was discussed in book 1, if you haven't read that discussion. So I'm thinking maybe it'll be called Stephen, Philip, and the Making of Paul. If you've read the book, you will know that is a fitting title because the book discusses the kind of the unspoken, or the, I'll say unknown, because there's been some very smart people who have studied the Bible for 2,000 years. But the almost unknown connection between Stephen and Paul and Paul's later ministry, and then Philip and Paul, as Paul heads out on his last journey to Jerusalem. So Stephen, Philip, and the Making of Paul. And then for the subtitle, I'll just put something like Book 5 in the ongoing Continuing with Paul book series, something like that. So hopefully anyone who's read the original book 4 will see book 5 as a book they've already read. The cover I'll make a little similar, and maybe the description, which I'll have to change. It can't look like the same book coming back again. I'll hopefully show that the content is such that if you already had this book, don't buy this again. I'm not out to get over on anybody. This has never been a money-making venture for me. It's not like that. Anyway, so what will be this new book 4? Let me just give you a quick preview here. So the one I'm going to put on pre-sale in May, I don't know how much you can see here. This is the paperback cover. This is the current prototype. It's called when Paul quoted Jesus, book 4 in the Continuing with Paul book series. We'll talk more about this at a later date, but there is another book about to come out. Should be nice. Now, I've run out. I try to play by the rules. When I use the Amazon cover creator, they have royalty-free pictures you can use. I'm afraid to get pictures from anywhere else because I've heard horror stories. You don't want a picture on your book that actually belongs to somebody else, right? That would be a problem. And I don't want those problems. I've run out of books. Run out of pictures of kind of historical architecture to put on the cover of book 5. All my other books have some sort of architecture on the cover. Here's some examples. Continuing with Paul. You've already seen the pillars of book 4. Book 3, Colosseum. So I've run out of good ones, and that's why we now have a picture of a tree on the new book 4 cover. So anyway, I have been asked repeatedly, book started strong, book is doing well, book gets the number ones, book had great reviews. What happened? Why is it unpublished? It wasn't me, at least it wasn't me as in my decision. I guess it was me because I made it free and put it up and it got too popular too fast. But it will return in some form later. But the next move will be the new book 4, the one about Paul quoting Jesus. And let me say this, I'm not upset with Amazon. It is their ballpark. It is their field to play on. They've been very kind to let people like me produce books. We get to put whatever we want in these books. There's no one telling us what to write. We get to choose our own covers. We get to choose our own titles. It's been great. I wouldn't have had these books without Amazon, so I don't hold any hard feelings. I don't begrudge them a bit. It was a little bit of a gut punch to see your book unpublished, but when I realized, I can still get it back out again in some other form, change it up a little bit, I felt better. So that is that. Any specific questions beyond that, put them in the comments. I will read and I will respond. And we'll do another video here in a week or two about the upcoming book before it launches. And thank you for your time.